Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Art of Creation Homestead. My name is Jason, and we're in Southwest Ohio. It's about time to get cold, and we'll get in the chicken coop today. Every year in winter, I answer this question so many times at work and people I meet, whatever, and from people online as well. And I still see the questions every year from fresh chicken keepers and people like that, people who just don't have the experience, and that's okay, because you don't know until you know, right? But are your chickens gonna freeze to death in the cold in the winter? Or do you have to give them heat lamps? Or what happens to your chickens in the cold? Do you bring them inside? Hey, let's answer those questions today, okay? So the first question is honestly the most important one, is just do you give your chickens heat in the wintertime? And the answer is absolutely do not ever give your chickens heat in the wintertime. It's extraordinarily dangerous to put heat lamps on them. If a heat lamp shorts out or whatever, it causes a fire. Your bedding and everything else could go up and smoke really fast. You lose your chickens, you lose your house, you lose property, you lose your coop, everything. It's terrible. Please do not put heat on your chickens, especially in the form of a heat lamp. But second of all, please don't give them heat at all. They're built for this. They're designed for this. They can handle, these girls right here can handle cold weather. They've been outside in the cold. They've been getting acclimated to the cold. God designed them for this, and they can handle it. Their body temperature is 104 to 107 degrees. They've got all the feathers. They've got the layers of fat. They're built for this. It's okay. Their body can handle this stuff. And if you put heat on them, and unless something happens to the heat source, okay, like if the electric goes out or something happens to that heat source, and they're warm, then they get really cold real fast, they're gonna die. Hypothermia will kick in, and they will stink and die. So you'll lose every chicken you have. Okay, that's real. I actually know somebody it's happened to, and it was very sad for their children, especially. Okay, and you're also out investment of the chickens and the time and everything else you put into them. So please, just no heat. And second of all, you see that beautiful comb right there? See that? You may want to protect that beautiful comb. Layla's got a gorgeous comb, even though she shouldn't. She's a whiting true blue. She shouldn't really have a single straight comb like that, but she does. And you want to make sure that comb doesn't freeze in the wintertime. See, they expel the heat. They expel heat from their combs, waddles, and their feet. See them pretty feet? So they do that there. As she jumps down, she's hungry. But anyways, they expel heat from their comb and their feet and their waddles, okay? So when they get on the roost at night, which is important, by the way, when they roost, it's important to have roost bars like this, okay, that they can get their feet flat on. They get their feet flat on there, and they can cover, and when they squat down to roost at night, their bodies and their feathers covers their feet. So their feet will actually be really warm even when it's below zero, because they'll get on there and keep them warm. Now the next thing is their combs and waddles. They can expel heat from those, okay? So the heat will escape their bodies right there, and that's okay. It's not gonna hurt them, but they can also get moisture on those combs, just little bits of moisture that you don't even see. All right, and that can cause frostbite. Very dangerous. Now, if your chicken has a really short comb or a pea comb or a rose comb, something like that, you don't have to worry about it. But like Layla, she has a taller comb and all those little points. We use Burt's Bees Farmer's Friend hand salve to protect that comb when it gets down to about 12 degrees. Okay, that's probably super safe. You probably more like below 10 is probably really the danger zone, and that's also for an extended period of time. But we just are super safe just in case the weatherman gets it wrong. Go figure, they might actually get one wrong, right? But in case they're wrong, in case it gets colder, in case something silly happens, so we're extra cautious. So we protect their combs with, like I said again, Burt's Bees Farmer's Friend hand salve is what we use to protect their combs with. And if they happen to get frostbite on their combs or waddles, we can also protect their waddles if they have really prominent waddles with the same thing. Then you can use green goo. Green goo you can find. It's a salve you can find at Tractor Supply or Amazon, anything like that, okay? We will leave links to that stuff below in case you're looking for them. But that's a big deal too, is protect their combs. Also, you've seen here we got a window here. Okay, that's the east side, and we have windows here on our doors. That's the south. So we have windows south and east, but on the north and the west side of our coop, we have no windows, nothing. That's to block wind. Okay, you want to keep your coop safe from drafts, but not restricting airflow. You got to have the airflow, but don't want to have the draft straight on the chickens, where they roost on the west and the north side of the coop. okay? So they're not gonna get wind straight on them. But also eliminate moisture. If you eliminate airflow, you're gonna have moisture building up from their manure. So you wanna make sure you have airflow, but not draft on them. So also to eliminate moisture, you wanna make sure you give them plenty of fresh, dry bedding, okay? We use pine shavings. I believe that's better than straw or sand especially, but that's for us. Straw does hold heat and give off heat, but it also lets moisture fly out, where pine shavings will dry, okay, and they can still hold heat anyways. So we will also give them plenty of fresh, dry pine shavings before it gets cold, which the threat of getting cold is getting there. They're threatening us next week with a bunch of really cold weather, so we'll see. Another thing we talk about is the waters. Okay, we use this water here. It's a 3-gallon gravity-fed water, and people love them or hate them. I typically love them. They can be a problem in the wintertime though if they freeze, okay, because the lid can freeze on it and be really difficult to get off. But they do hold heat in that water really well. So what we will do when it's going to be really cold is that we will fill this thing with hot water. Won't we, Tootie? Yeah. So we will fill this thing with hot water. Okay, so what happens then is you take the cap off the thing and lets the water out into the trough, right? And it's got warm water because the air is going to cool it really fast. It's going to be warm water inside this tray and hot water inside this tank, and it's going to keep it warm for longer periods of time, and therefore the water won't freeze. And they need to have access to water, okay? That's the thing. They need feed and water still when it gets really cold. That's just what they do. Chickens need that water even when it's cold. They need access to it. They won't drink as much, but they do need access to it. If they go without water for hours upon hours upon hours, it's just not good for them. It will cause a lot of stress. Side note, we do actually have one of those little bell waters too right here that we use outside. We do the same for that. Put hot water in it. It will freeze as well, and it doesn't hold heat as well as the big one, but we do have 2 waters we put hot water in. Now a lot of times people get concerned about their chickens, and they want to make sure they're well fed and taken care of and super warm, and that's awesome. We do the same thing, by the way. One of the main things you can do is just eliminate stress. Things that might stress them out, eliminate it. If you can do things to alleviate stress, do so. One of those things might be even giving them a warm treat, right? A lot of times we might give them cracked corn while it's not warm. Cracked corn inside their bodies does cause your bodies to heat up trying to process it. So it will, like in the summertime, you may want to try to avoid corn because it makes their bodies warmer. In the wintertime, you can give them a little bit of corn, especially like we'll do it in the evenings before they go to roost. Give them some cracked corn that'll get in their bodies have to work harder to process it overnight, and it will keep them warmer inside. And other things you can do for them in the wintertime, maybe during the day, give them maybe some warm oatmeal, a warm sweet potato, warm winter squash, something that's cooked and hot, but then you kind of let it cool just a little bit because it'll burn their gullet, right? It'll burn that gizzard if you give it to them too hot. But a warm treat like that, it's also give them high energy, will keep them up, active, and kind of warm up their bodies inside too. And activity is a big deal. You want to make sure they stay as active as possible, even in the colder times where they're going to want to hump up, huddle up, and stay in the corners and not move. And finally, you're going to want to collect eggs more often. Right here, those things are very important. That's a nest egg, it's not real. But in the wintertime, these eggs are too valuable. You just don't get as many eggs in the wintertime. So if you are getting eggs, make sure you get them and don't let them stay out there in the freezing cold. I mean, like really bad cold, because if it's, I'm gonna say below 20 especially, you may want to watch it because those things will freeze and bust and you'll lose an egg. Very valuable commodity when you have chickens in the wintertime. Like I said, they're kind of rare sometimes, so don't want to lose them. But there it is. Take care of them little feathered friends of yours, because you've invested a lot of time and money in them, and after a while you get to love them and they're part of the family. So take care of them, keep them stress-free, warm, and happy, and you will get eggs. If you've been getting eggs, you'll keep getting eggs, and you won't lose any stinking chickens, and they are pretty hardy. They can handle it. So thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate it. My name is Jason. This is Art of Creation Homestead. We love y'all. God bless you and goodbye.